The Walking Dead. Make some noise for Pollyanna McIntosh and Cassady McClincy! Hello, welcome on our stage today. How are you doing? How was your day yesterday here in Dortmund?
It was intense, but I love seeing all your beautiful faces and hearing all your beautiful German names.
Yeah, everyone was very friendly, and we did the Christmas market last night, and it was delicious.
Glühwein.
Yeah,
You went. That's
Glühwein all the
amazing.
way.
What did you all do? What did you have? Was anything that struck out particularly that you like? Well, that was really delicious or great or like interesting?
They cooked the salmon on the fire, barbecued salmon. That was delicious.
So,
And churros, which are not German at all, but they were
they're
great.
still delicious.
Right? With Nutella and Baileys and the Glühwein.
Yes, I didn't make it yesterday, but in 2019, I had a pretzel with beer cheese, and I still can't stop thinking about it.
She's always talking about this
Good.
pretzel.
I'm like, please get a
Does
pretzel
anyone
with
have
beer
a
cheese
pretzel
for
for
me.
Cassady?
Anybody? No, it's okay.
Someone
I'll do
should
one
get a
tonight.
pretzel for Cassady. So it's so great to have you, and you've been doing some of these shows in the past years. Of course, the success that The Walking Dead has gotten is very intense. Like from the first season onwards, it just exploded. What's it like being an actor, but also being in this world of Comic Con, where people dress up as the characters from the show? What's it like seeing yourself walking around sometimes, for you as an actor?
Oh, it's really unreal. Like, I find myself pinching myself. I was a fan of the show when it first started too, so the fact that I'm a part of it really doesn't feel real. But I'm just very, very grateful to be a part of such a huge family, and it's really cool to see all of the fans making lifelong friends through the show as well. And I know I have as an actor and part of the show as well, so it's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I didn't watch the show before I started, so I had 6 seasons to catch up on before I came in. And I was dreaming of walkers and woods, and it was really weird and intense. But like Cassady says, I think the strength of the show is this idea of found family, you know, that the communities that are built within the storyline. And then we have this amazing community, you know, between the actors and the crew, and then all you guys. And because of the success of these Comic-Cons and different conventions, we get to meet the cast members before us that made the show what it was, that allowed us to have this success as well. And that's really been cool. So yeah, I miss my Walking Dead family when I don't see them. And so I was so excited to see Cassady and Michael Rooker here.
We never worked together, but
Yeah, we never worked together, but we met at the conventions, and a lot of you guys met each other at the conventions, so it's very cool, yeah.
And that's what the show is also. There are so many different elements to the story that there are moments where we're 5 different shooting locations, shooting scenes, storylines that ultimately come together, but you don't get to work with everyone. What was it like for both of you to come onto the show at a later stage, and then also like playing this character that wasn't fleshed out but had this history over the past years that they slowly explained in later episodes?
They like a bit of mystery on The Walking Dead,
Yes.
so you're reading these insane scripts and these wonderful scenes, but a lot of it isn't explained at first, so you kind of have to fill in and make your own world as well, and hope that it matches up. And for me, Jada's changed so many times. I mean, not just her way of working and her allegiance, you know, her alliance, her loyalty, but also the way she looked, the way she spoke. One question I get from fans a lot is, why does she speak that way? You know, how has she forgotten how to speak in such a short time? But I always felt it had 3 effects. One was to bond the group. One was to allow for complicated speech to travel faster over the big space that the heaps are. and the other is to make outsiders feel very uncomfortable, so that you're always in control because everyone else is a bit confused, like, why is she speaking like Yoda, you know? I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
It does, yeah.
It's very cool. It was definitely daunting joining this huge cult show, and especially, I know in previous things I've worked on, it's kind of scary. It's like, okay, where do I sit in the high school lunch? Like, where's the table I can sit at? But honestly, it was the most welcoming set I've ever been on. I just was welcomed with open arms immediately. Everyone was like, welcome to Walking Dead, and it just felt like something so special to be a part of from the very beginning. So that was what it was like joining. And then Lydia, yes, so she was in the comics before, but when I joined, Greg Nicotero gave me the comic books just to sort of get familiar with her, but he was like, this is a blueprint for Lydia, it's not gospel, so Lydia on the TV show is going to be different than what is in the comics, because obviously they've changed and diverted a lot of the story from the comics, and I think that's how they keep the TV viewers that have also read the comic books tuning in, because they're like, oh, well, what are they going to do now? Because Carol's alive, she's supposed to die in the first season or whatever, so yeah, it's very cool.
And you talked a little bit about the secrecy of the show, of course. I mean, when it first came out, it was one of those shows that had to have a certain level of secrecy because of all the plot twists that happened. How much did you know as an actor of what your character was going to do, or maybe even like how long they would last for some of the other? Zero, right?
Zero.
Nothing.
Nada.
Yeah, no, I came on as a guest star, so I came on for 3 to 5 episodes, they said. We did those 5 episodes, then I got an offer as a regular very quickly, which you think, oh, well, now I'll get to know more stuff. No, all secret. But it was, as an actor, it's a new way to work, because normally I'd been used to doing mostly films before that point, so you have a beginning, middle, and an end, and you can work back from the end, you know, what they end up choosing in the end informs your whole journey. But with Jadis, I mean, you know, you just didn't know anything. But then, of course, she would always switch, and they're writing as they go along, so you just have to become quite dynamic and able to switch your ways.
Adaptable. Yeah, I was the same with you. I was a guest star, and then I thought I was just going to be in a few episodes, and then I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm still alive. My head's still attached to my body. I thought maybe I would be a Spike victim or something, which probably wouldn't make sense. But yeah, I didn't know anything. Like, even after being a series regular, well, you guys probably saw the finale, so I'm going to just give you a spoiler if you didn't, and you shouldn't be here if you didn't. So.
Exactly. I am going to spoil it.
Yeah, I'm going to spoil something if you haven't seen it, so close your ears. But yeah, I had no idea that Lydia was going to lose her arm in
that was
like
intense,
the
that
penultimate episode. Yeah, it was intense, but it was really fun. But yeah, I had no idea until a week before, and then I was like, is she going to die after this? I didn't know. I was so nervous because I know, like, they always make changes a week before too, so. It's definitely, you never know what's happening. It's a surprise every week, every time you get a new script.
I think what makes it more intense is that also, like, Ross was doing that scene with you, and he was also the first person you shot a scene with, or the first person you met, I think, on set. I think I read that, something like that.
I know that he was. It's weird because at first his character hated Lydia for the first 2 seasons, so he's like one of my best friends on set, I think. Yeah, it was fun to be with Jerry and Aaron, or Cooper and Ross for those scenes, because I feel like we've gotten really close for doing conventions together. Right before COVID, we did like a few weeks in Australia together, so I remember when we got the call that we would be together. We all texted each other, we're like, we made it! The Australian crew, we're back together! And then, yeah, that was really intense, but I was very, very thankful to be with those 2 amazing actors and humans. Felt very safe.
Cooper is one of my besties as well, and I adore him, and he makes every day so fun, yeah.
Yeah, he's the best human ever. I love Coop.
I mean, and that's what's so beautiful is, of course, we in Germany and in England, we do a lot of these conventions and we get to meet different people of the cast in different combinations together, and there's always this like family bond that you bring to here, even if you don't have any scenes together. Like it's a tight-knit group, and it's so beautiful to see that and have you here.
I think a huge benefit of it is you're on location. So whereas if we were all living in our homes and we would be shooting in LA or whatever, you wouldn't get the same bond. But because we're all away from home in a new place, Atlanta, which is such a welcoming city, has been, you know, it really has a badge of honor with The Walking Dead because it's their show. So just by dint of being away, and we're all in the mud together, we're all in the heat together, and we all know how lucky we are. And I think the casting directors who cast the show have this incredible talent for not just casting great actors, but great people, you know, because there's always one dickhead on every job, just one generally. Sometimes there's none. But with The Walking Dead, it's a very warm crew, like you say, extremely welcoming. I thought I'd just be the new girl, sat in the corner of the cafeteria, kind of like, nobody needs to know me because I'm new, and, you know, I'll be gone and whatever. No, they were just like, hey, what's up?
Walking Dead.
And I just like to remind the audience, like, don't be shy, and if you have questions, just queue up and get your questions in. I think we have one lined up. Yes, hello.
Hello.
It's a little dark in that corner, sorry.
Hi.
Oh, there we go, thank you.
Hello, I have a question for you too. Two questions.
Good.
What's the best scene you had and the hardest scene you had?
So the best scene to shoot?
The best scene to shoot and the hardest.
In any order you want to answer that.
All right, so the best scene, I'll go, was the season finale of season 9, when there was a snowball fight with all of us. Daryl started it, and it was completely improvised, and it was super fun, and we were actually throwing snowballs, and we had no idea that was going to happen, and then I think it was the only time that Lydia has ever really smiled and laughed in the show, and that was actually Cassady doing it. I was sort of out of character, I'll be honest, but it was so much fun. And then the hardest one was probably, well, there's two ones that stick out. One was with Lydia and Megan at the end of season 10, where she sort of confronts him after he chops her mom's head off. And she's like, I hate you, or I don't know. And she sort of breaks down, and that was sort of daunting, intense, but we got through it, and it was fun. And then the other one was obviously getting the arm chopped off, because I had no idea how to do that. I've never gotten a limb chopped off. Knock on wood. Yeah, where's wood? Oh god. You got it. But so yeah, I was definitely like researching a bunch on how to make that look realistic. Watching war movies and stuff. And then we had to actually do that twice because it was during COVID, and there was like a COVID outbreak the first day we did it. So then we had to come back 2 weeks later and do it all over again. And I was like, I'm so sick of doing this over and over. But I mean, yeah, but it was so fun. I'm so thankful to have gotten the chance to do something, to lose an arm. Who gets to say that every day? And have it back now. It's crazy.
Do you have like a fondness memory or something that was like extremely difficult to do or difficult circumstances?
Probably my favorite scenes would be between, and thank you for the question, probably between the first scene that I ever shot, because it's like, here we go, you know, and Andy, who I didn't know before, Andrew Lincoln, was so kind, and we were very eye to eye, and it was a lot of fun, and I felt Jadis's calm power, you know, and it was feeling the character working, and that felt great. But I think a big favorite is the scene where after all Jadis's people have been killed, and she has to put all the walkers through the grinder. Because it was just so romantic in a weird way, you know? You had the horror, it's so Walking Dead, you have the horror of all the gore, which is really cool to see the artists make that, and, you know? And then you have all the emotion of what she was going through, and suddenly she's in this white dress, which by the way I don't think would fit underneath trousers, but hey. I was trying to explain to the guys that was really strange, but it was so romantic anyway, and just getting to see all the stunt people work, and you know, it just felt very like a fan moment. And then the hardest one would be between doing the scene with Jeffrey in the car where Jadis knocks him out with the gun, because it was such a small car and he's such a big guy and I'm a big woman, and we were in this tiny space with a big ass gun and a big metal heavy thing, because it had to look, you know, shiny, so it was the real one. I mean, not a real explosive gun, but you know, a heavy gun. And I whacked him, and I really whacked him, and I whacked him on his nose, and you know, I just felt terrible, and he was like, ah, and a part of me was like, why didn't you just pass out, and then we got the scene, like, you know, like, why ruin it, you know, like, come on, man. And he got out of the car, and he was like, oh, God, and everyone was, you know, and I felt terrible, and I just, you know, when you want to, like, go to somebody and make sure they're okay, but you know they need space, so I just let him be, and then when he was ready, I said, sorry, Jeffrey. And he
Jeffrey, that he is. Oh.
What?
Yeah, no, same thing. He's such a baby. Sorry, but
and then he said, oh, it's okay. All the best guys do it. You know, Andrew broke my nose or whatever.
That's exactly what he said.
Did you hit him too?
My stick. I didn't even hit him, but he was like, don't hurt me, Cassady. I was like, I'm not gonna hurt you. But I guess I do hurt people sometimes.
Well, then I read the script a week later.
Kurze Info. Einmal der weiße Toyota mit dem Kennzeichen MS CZ627, das im Tor 53 steht. Bitte einmal zum Infopoint Check-in, Eingang Nord. Danke.
Danke.
Bitte.
So I just whacked him on the nose, you know, I mean, that's an expensive ass face, you know.
Yeah.
I just whacked him on the nose, and then I read the script for the next week, and it's like, Jadis takes the bat and hits Negan so close to the face that, you know, it's almost like she hits him, and I'm going, really?
He's gonna trust me.
But I had the moves down now, and I did it, and I was like, right there, and I was like, yes! And he trusted me, so that was nice. But he's such a big baby because he didn't want to be tied up, he hated being tied up, and it made the whole scene, you know, but guys don't like being tied up, like Seth, well, some guys I'm sure do. But Seth, who plays Father Gabriel, I had to tie
Ich
him up.
wiederhole, der Besitzer des weißen Toyotas mit dem Kennzeichen MS CZ627, Tor 53, der Inhaber bitte einmal zum Eingang Nord, zum Infopoint. Danke.
Can we turn that off?
So so Seth hated being tied up as well, and it just makes it really difficult. But then Seth had a walker leaning over him, dribbling, because she didn't have full use of her mouth, and she has the teeth in, and she has the gore, and she's like, her real spit is like coming out, and he's lying down tied up, so it wasn't the most fun, to be fair.
Yeah.
So that was a bit tricky.
Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you. I just have another one question. If we take off the scene with the entrance of Negan, what is the hardest scene to see in the Walking Dead show?
Oh, Glenn getting his eye bonked out.
Oh yeah, so that's like, aside from that scene, what do you think was the most horrifying thing that was on the show, or that you thought was...
I was scared shitless of Alpha.
You know, I think
I
the
found
most
it hard to watch the
horrifying.
Whisperers, they were scary.
I think it was Alpha and Negan naked in the woods. That was something I can never unsee. With their socks on.
Socks on.
Yeah.
Sexy socks.
What did you think was the most horrifying? Scary?
Scary?
Yeah? The most gruesome?
In the start, the first...
In The Walking Dead, just
yes,
anything.
In the first scene with Rick Grimes, when he sees the first walker, the first one with
Bicycle girl.
yes, or the daughter. the little girl in the station, the gas.
I mean, and that's the, thank you so much for the question, by the way. And that's the thing about, like, I think a lot that's on the show is practical effects, right?
Yeah, I was surprised by, there's a fight scene that Jadis has with Rick, and there's a walker head next to me that's chomping, you know, the teeth, and he's threatening her with the head. And I thought it would be, I read it in the scripts and I thought, oh, this will be, you know, special effects. But no, it was a animatronic head, and the teeth sound was just so realistic, and it made it so fun to do, because I was really like, I don't want to be near that, like, you know?
Thank you for your question, by the way. Hey, hello.
Hello, I have two questions. The first one is how to play it in this series, this kind of series, because there are a lot of series in this world with zombies and apocalyptic stuff. And the second one is for you, Cassie. How it was to be like you are watching the series and joining them, and you see every one actor and you're playing with them, the same series you like.
What was the first question again?
No, let's start with the last one, and then we'll go back to the...
Oh, perfect. How is it like joining the show? Okay, well, see, I started acting when I was 9, and that was the same year that Walking Dead had started. So, because I'm from Georgia, and that's where they shoot Walking Dead, I grew up watching it, and I knew a lot of the kids, like the girl who played Sophia, I knew her from acting class, and like Caitlin Nacon, I knew her, who played Enid. So I like grew up watching it, and I remember seeing Carol crying at the barn when Sophia came back and thinking, oh my gosh, she's such an incredible actress. This is what I want to do. You know, they inspired me to keep on acting and trying for it. So being able to work with them was really, I know I say I was pinching myself, but I was sitting across from Denai. There's a moment where I was sitting across from her and I was like, is this actually real life? And I was literally pinching myself because I just couldn't even believe that it was real. It was so, experiencing such derealization. But yeah, I just feel like it was such a full circle moment. And I'm just...
Yeah, I remember seeing Melissa, who plays Carol, in the cafeteria for the first time and kind of being like, you know, whoa.
And then she's so welcoming, and you don't feel it at all once you talk to her. It's crazy.
And then as for your first question, so his first question was, what's it like for you as an actor to be in a horror zombie show?
The horror genre for me has provided so many opportunities to play diverse characters and big characters with big worries, you know, big real conflicts. And when I was younger, I think like a lot of people, not younger, but when, you know, before I started doing horror, which was a good few years ago now, I kind of, like a lot of people, had a bit of a snobbery about it, like it's not as good as regular drama, because I thought that it was just blood and gore and kind of silly and a bit childish. But then the stakes are so high, it just allows for so much, and it's such an outsider genre as well, like it covers all bases. And even though women have often been treated badly in those films, they've also, you know, there's also been great diversity in horror. And so I feel very proud to be part of the horror world. And the Walkers are just an extraordinary creation. The art and, you know, the craft that goes into them is amazing. And the acting, the Walkers as well, like, often they have thin people with long fingers, and it's kind of balletic, you know, like a dancer, the way they move, and then we have a lot of people who've lost limbs and that play the roles, and so you get to meet all these really interesting physical performers, and I love that. Yeah, it's cool.
I think you just said that perfectly, honestly.
What are you gonna do?
I love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello.
Hey!
So I'm asking this question for a friend of mine because she's too shy. But her question is, what was your favorite season to watch?
Season 1, the beginning. Nothing beats that first episode. I think it's one of the best pilots in the world, honestly, of all time.
Mine was season 6. Pretty sure it was 6. Was 6 the one with a lot of Herschel? A lot of Herschel at the farm was 6, was it? When they go to the farm and they discover the
earlier.
farm.
I think that's season 3.
Is it 3? Thanks. So season 3. Thanks to Ace.
Season 6, I think, was when Negan was introduced. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Negan was right at the end of 6.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great question. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi,
Negan!
Yes, I have the bed over there, so...
Keep it there.
Yeah. So my question is, who's your favorite villain when looking back at all the 11 seasons?
I think for me, probably Alpha, because she's so fascinating and so dark, and Samantha Morton committed to the role so hard, and she's genuinely scary. Like, you just don't know what she's capable of. Well, you do, and that's the problem.
I might be biased, but I agree with her. Alpha, Samantha Morton is just a whole new breed of actor. She's, I don't even want to call her an actor. She's just like a goddess.
She's a force, yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. So probably Alpha, yeah.
Is your favorite Negan by any chance?
Yes, Negan,
Yeah.
also Alpha, and I think Pamela Milton in the last season was pretty scary. So yeah.
So, do you still consider Negan a villain?
Not anymore.
What do you guys think?
I don't forgive that easy.
I think his arrogance was always a turn-off. I think that's a big problem for me, you know, because there was pleasure in other people's pain. And so that, for me, is hard to forgive.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Carl!
Hi, I wanted to ask how you created your character. I mean, for Lydia you had the comic books, but Jadis is like a completely new character. Where you got your inspiration and what was the process of creating them?
No, it was a funny one, because people often ask me, must be really hard to communicate the way she spoke and everything. But it was just so well written, you know. And even at the audition, I felt very comfortable with her, even at the audition. And I remember when I auditioned, the first time I did the scene, they said, "Ooh, you're a bit sexy." And I was like, "Am I? Yeah, maybe not so sexy." I was like, oh, "Okay." But then I think bringing a bit of sex to it informed the character, because when you've got Andrew Lincoln in front of you and you're in a power play, and Jadis, you could tell from the way she negotiated that she didn't really care how the negotiation ended in a lot of cases. What she enjoyed was the back and forth, you know, because she would go, no, and then she'd go, all right then, you know. So I thought she has fun, whatever happens. She enjoys herself, and that's part of her way of surviving, you know. So I think that cheekiness and that sense of fun became something a little bit sexy, became a little flirtation, and I think it informed the script. In fact, the first season premiere that I went to, as the new girl, you know, Denai had a few cocktails, and she said, "You made her sexy, and now things are going on with you and Rick, and this is terrible." And I said, "Sorry." And then she came up later and she went, "Oh, I just spoke to Scott, and he said he'd already written that stuff, and it wasn't you." And I was like, "I think it was, though." So yeah, so that kind of informed, you know. But as far as inspiration, like, it's very hard to put yourself in there, right? I was shit scared. I was like, sorry about that, didn't mean it. But it's quite hard to put yourself in an apocalyptic situation. So I just had to be, and also again, not knowing what was going to happen in the future with the story, the character, I just had to be very much in the moment. And I think that's the way that she survives, you know, to be very much in the moment, whatever that brings, and to be able to switch on a dime, as we say, to be, you know, to be fluid. And so that helped, because instead of thinking, oh my God, everything is so hard, and how are we going to succeed, and, you know, what's happened before and all the pain, I just thought, what's happening right now? Who's in front of me? What do I need to do to manipulate them to get what I want? So that was a very easy way to play her for me.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi. So Cassady knows this already. I haven't watched the show yet. And I wanted to ask you, what would you say to someone who doesn't watch the show to kind of convince him to watch the show?
Oh.
I think a lot of people are hesitant to watch the show because they're like, oh, it's stupid, it's zombies, I don't watch that kind of thing. But it's definitely more of a show about the people. And the zombies are just kind of a little fun extra addition. So I think you should watch it for the characters and for the people and their connections. Because they're beautiful stories about humans.
Yeah, and you might learn something about how to survive if we really do screw the world up, which we seem to be intent on doing. I always say that the walkers, the zombies, are like bad weather. They're like the storm that you have to get through, you know, to continue your story. Rather than, like you say, the whole thing. Because a lot of people, like cab drivers and stuff who haven't seen the show, are like, oh, do you play a zombie? I'm like, well, that wouldn't last long, you know. So, yeah, same as Cassady, I would say watch it for the story and the people and to learn how to survive.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your question. So unfortunately we're out of time, but I want to thank you so much for being here. You're of course going to be here for the rest of the day. So if you have some questions left or if you want to get an autograph, make sure you go to the signing table. And if you have a photo shoot, don't be late. And again, thank you for being here. Give it up for Pollyanna and Cassady.